Right, hi folks, here we are again. Wow, Wedger's teamed up with the Shamami, whatever her face is, the toxic nurse with the Botox head, and they're on an American grift. Can you imagine? Now, I haven't watched it. I'm not going to keep harping on the same thing. Time is not a friend at the minute. Um, Hmm. But what I have done is I've sped them up and I've pixelated it because when it comes to Wedger, I know he's on one. He wants to be this podcaster. He's really raising his game. We're coming up to spring. It is the big grifting season. He's already sort of like put out there he's going to do another bloody bike ride and grift some more money. And the more exposure that he gets to the States, the more money he can reef in for his fake foundation. So yeah, we have to be careful covering him because I think he's going to come for everyone. If he can copyright strike and get channels down, he will. But this is transformative content here, sped up, pixelated, and there is commentary over it. We have met the guidelines of fair use. Ugh. Right, I don't even know how long this goes on for. I've swiped it, pixelated it, sped it up, re-uploaded it. And my computer is so slow now. I don't know. Anyway, I've got my ideas, but here we go. Let's get on with it. Whoa! Shit, that's loud.
Hello, everybody. Dr. Mary Crowley. I'm
Hang on,
excited to have this important
1 second. Let's try and sort this audio out. God, that intro was like 10 times as loud as the rest of it. Is that loud enough? Hang on.
podcast today with John Wedger, who is a
Little
former
bit louder.
detective and, he's a former London detective and whistleblower with the United Kingdom, and then Nurse Kate. I can't even say her last name because of all the attacks she's gotten against her, but she's a natural nurse in a toxic world, and I had her on the program, a few weeks.
No, she's not. She's a struck-off nurse. She's a struck-off nurse in a grift. But anyway, let's not split hairs.
Back. But I just got back from the McAllen, Texas, where Christy Hutcherson, a friend of mine who has Women Fighting for America, and we were down at the Payne Stadium. We had, General Flynn.
What? The Payne Stadium? Oh, sorry, I've spent too much time around Foodie Beauty. No, anyway, I'm so sorry. It's just been long days, late nights. Stop it, grow up.
Flynn and Colonel Alan West, who's actually running for governor, and Tom Heyman, who's the former ICE director, and so many other people from around the country that came together. And then we went to the border, you guys, John and Kate, we went to the border, we did a human chain, because literally, according to intel that I received from people down there, that there's been over 4 million people.
What the hell? If that thing is annoying you, toxic nurse, take the damn thing off. Stop fiddling around. It's getting on my nerves.
That have crossed the border in a year, and a lot of our NGOs in our country are helping facilitate these people and children going into different parts of the country, and I know many of them are being trafficked. So,
gosh, she's so vain, isn't she, old toxic nurse?
We are going to be talking today about, this worldwide trafficking.
Wendy just looks like a chubby gimp.
Ring, and what they did to John, and what we can do to help stop this, this tragedy. So anyway, welcome, Kate and John. How are you guys today?
Blessed, thank you.
It was a big honour to be with you, but also to be on the same platform as John Wedger as well. It's always great.
See, now Johnny's such a hypocrite, but we know that there's an American grift to be had here. When neither one complaining about he wasn't really the celebrity when all these were doing, the Piers Corbyn and the Mark Steele and the toxic nurse, like the cronies. Same way that Archer was complaining. Now look at that, he's managed to worm his way in there. Join in the grift. Grifters reunited. It's like friends reunite, but it's just grifters.
Likewise.
Well, Kate, since I interviewed you first and you were the one that told me about John, why don't you share a little bit of your background in England? And of course now...
You tell me this isn't organised. This is highly organised. Who put these people here? What's the real reason?
Boris Johnson is saying that all the mandates are gone. Everything is basically... How is it over there in the UK now?
Well, I've been a nurse for 36 years. Trained and qualified independent nurse prescriber. I have a diploma in personal nutrition and I present on several radios. We have a nursing and midwifery council over here, which is what you have something similar in the United States. And the title of a registered nurse is protected through Parliament, but a nurse is not. Now, just because you're not on the nursing register doesn't mean you're not a nurse. Now, I stood before the nursing register for telling the truth. And the Nursing Register, the Nursing and Midwifery Council, was taken over by the government in 2001. So the NHS was taken over by the government, I believe it was last year or the end of 2000.
Oh dear. Oh dear. You see, look, they're just going to be huge, huge victims whilst being absolute joysters.
2020. So what we have here is a conflict of interest right there, because they're all literally in the same trough with the same pigs. So when Boris Johnson has come out and said, we're not going to mandate anymore the masks or the injections, that doesn't mean anything, because at the end of his speech he tagged on and said it was up to individual businesses. And I can tell you right now that's exactly what's happening. All over the country, individual businesses are still doing it. Now onto our NHS. Just yesterday it was announced that NHS staff would no longer be required to have this injection to keep their jobs, because they're going to fire them all in April. First of all, we're not allowed to ever criticise the NHS. It is the sacred cow. It is akin to a religion in the UK. We're told.
No, not really. Plenty of people criticise the NHS and have for a very long time. But I guess for the 36 years, you didn't see anything until the last 2 years. Okie doke.
It's the envy of the world. Well, the NHS is not the envy of the world. No other country emulates it. And it ranks in the lower third worldwide for favourable outcomes for the patients. So right there, it's the sacred cow that needs slaughtering, but we've got to stay home and protect the NHS. Now what Sajid Javid said, our health minister said, that they're not going to mandate this for the NHS workers, so they're not going to lose their jobs, but then he did say he will be speaking to governing bodies. Well, that's the NMC, the Nursing and Midwifery Council, and the General Medical Council. So I would absolutely, I could lay my last dollar on what is coming next, because these are gangsters that we're dealing with. They're all liars, they're corrupt.
But you only found that out in the last couple of years when it didn't go your way. For the 34 years, everything was great, right? Didn't really? Okay. What was the great epiphany then? Like, because for 34 years, you were all right with it. You were taking salary from it. Couldn't have been that bad.
They're not out there for the benefits, advocating for the patients. It was Florence Nightingale who stated no nurse should be registered, it will stop her learning. And you cannot advocate for the patient if you're following government diktat that trickles down to hospital policies. And we've seen that with the treatment during this pandemic, scamdemic. Patients don't get ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine.
He's just feeling the sweat here now. He's like, I'm not a very good speaker, really, compared with this one. She's had way more practice. She's a much better grifter than me. I need her on my side here.
Chloroquine. They get bummed onto a ventilator and straight out the back door into a coffin. So what's actually happening here is I would absolutely state.
Well, a bit of fear mongering there.
They're going to say something like, you can't enter your nurse training unless you're injected, or your medical training. You can't re-register. We have to re-register every year. We have to tick some boxes, and then we're allowed to re-register. And every 3 years, you have to revalidate. And you have to prove that you've done a certain amount of hours for nursing and a certain amount of study. So if they're speaking to governing bodies, that is the governing body. So the NHS is not going to continue. And I've, over the last week, looked at the mandates for 2021-22 that the NHS has come up with. And I would urge...
Did anyone from the Blair days not actually see the privatisation of the NHS? Did she not notice? She would have been there in the thick of it. People not noticing gradually that it was privatisation. I mean, it's a big topic.
Every nurse and doctor and anyone in the NHS to read it, and the public, because everything is in there. They are talking about 50,000 more appointments, or was it 50 million more appointments? It was a lot. Why do we need that many appointments? Are we all getting sick? They talked about how they're going to take on 50,000 more nurses. They don't say where from. And they've been advertising in Africa for nurses for the UK. They're going to be using the latest...
And that's been going on for a long, long time, because people don't want to be nurses in the UK because the hours are shit and the pay is rubbish. I mean, when I was over in Bahrain, most of the nurses and the doctors over there were Canada, Europe, America, Australia, New Zealand, UK. They were, because it was tax-free money, and it's piss poor wages over here compared with what they can earn out overseas. So they do their training and they bugger off and they earn their money. So what, we just don't get them from anywhere then? Because it's the same with nurses coming from overseas, because the wages are better here than where they're coming from, which is why the nurses are leaving the UK and going overseas, because they can go to places where the money is better. It's no different.
Technology, AI.
Oh no. Oh God. I'll just let her rattle on. I just want to get to the John bit. I might end up skipping her. She really will.
Using as many face-to-face consulting. So what does that mean? It's AI. It's coming in within the next 5 years, 4 years now. And they're going to be using genome
Oh my God. So I think Wayne Fox must have watched this.
sequencing. I mean, if people really read this, they'll see exactly what is in store for them. Genome sequencing, it means they can predetermine what the likelihood of you getting a disease is and pre-treat. They're not making any allowance for epigenetics, where our bodies are affected by diet and environment, and that can have an effect on our genes, whether it can damage them. So I think really this is just all smoke and mirrors. And I always say politics is Hollywood for ugly people. So the NHS, we've been...
And you're sort of like, well, you're turning into a bit of a political figure, aren't you? For ugly people. Is that inside and out, or just inside?
been told by our government that they've had to dip into the pensions, the state pensions. Well, that's your NHS workers' pensions. We've been told that they're going to be putting up our national insurance. That's what pays for the NHS, pays for part of the NHS. Well, I have private healthcare because I don't rate the NHS at all, and the care that you get in the NHS is very different.
Well, aren't you lucky? So, what are you moaning for? This won't.
The care that you get privately. So, for
Thanks for your donations. I've got private healthcare. You simps who gave all your money over, do you have private healthcare? No. Never mind.
all you nurses, and many of you are excellent, but many of you are not. And I once got into a lot of trouble for saying for every good nurse, there's 10 crap ones. I stand by that.
In your opinion. And then there's plenty of people that don't really rate you so well either. I'm not medical, I can't say.
Because all of these nurses, some of them did indeed whistleblow. The majority of them kept quiet, even when they saw our elderly being murdered and being given morphine and midazolam, and our loved ones not being allowed visitors. Most of these nurses and doctors kept quiet, and they kept quiet when the healthcare workers were losing their jobs. And now all of a sudden their backs are against the wall and they want everyone behind them. Well, that's okay, I'm forgiving. But please do remember it. If you are one of those...
No one cares if you forgive or not. You're not in the NHS. You're not a registered nurse anymore. So you have no dog in the fight. Go away.
Kept quiet. Remember, your government doesn't love you. And we are all, what is it they say? Kings have gold, men have silver, slaves have debt. We are all slaves. And the one commodity...
Well, you're not, because you've just been gloating that you haven't got debt, have you? You've been on a massive grift over the plague. It's been very lucrative for you and your pals.
that we all have are our bodies. And one body in America, I think, is worth, what, $70,000 for organ donor. And one body...
I just had a nurse on Kate. For the first time, she's a nurse in San Diego, and she just walked off her job in November of 2021 because she saw people being put on remdesivir and then intubating. She saw literally, dozens of her patients dying. And this is a plan. And so we tell people the hospital is a very dangerous place to be. So
I call them the hospitals. But don't just...
Jeez. So just scare people in. If you're sick, whatever you do, don't go to the hospital. That'll kill you. This is so irresponsible, isn't it? So irresponsible. I mean, I've been questioning this for years and years and years. And the best piece of advice that I ever had was actually from a doctor himself. And he said, trust your doctor and your solicitor at your peril. And off of the back of that, research everything, make an educated decision, and just don't blindly go into anything. But but this is, just coming out with shit like this. It's not helpful. Fear mongering.
Hey, we have the British Nursing Alliance, and we've teamed up with many countries around the world, the World Nursing Alliance, and our first inaugural course starts in May. Diet for healing. When you learn that you can avoid disease and indeed reverse disease using diet, you will feel totally empowered.
Oh, what? And you think that's new? Great big fat person with diabetes and all the rest of it changes their diet, diabetes reduces or ceases. Really? Heart conditions clear up? Yeah, we didn't know this. We didn't know it.
I intend, with the help of a few people, we're going to take nursing back to what it should be. So you won't need these hospitals and all
this won't happen. She wants to be the new Florence Nightingale. Couldn't be farther from it, but anyway. It's a big old grift.
these pharmaceutical drugs. Everything we needed, the good Lord put here for us.
Oh my God.
Yes, that's
Oh no, she's going. Oh, oh, there's a pattern forming with all of us. Has Mark still found the baby Jesus yet? Is he a born again Christian as well?
I agree with that too. So anyway, you were the one, after we had a great podcast several weeks ago, you told me about John Wedger. And, I'm involved with doing a documentary. It's in the final stages of being completed now, called Freedom Cry, Sex Trafficking in America. And so I've been, very much involved with this. I went to Thailand, in 2017 in Bangkok and Pattaya. And I got back, yeah, a 3-mile walking street where literally they have 3 miles of bars, for a lot of sex tourist destinations. Go there, people go there.
I think it's Pat Pong. I was crew for an airline and for 10 years. The world's favourite airline. It's horrific. Horrific.
It's bad, but when I got back, Kate and John, the Lord said to me, because I'm a believer in Jesus, I'm a Christian, God said to me, I don't want you to do it about these other countries, or at least Thailand. I want you to focus on America. So right now we have a major problem globally, and this is why we're going to talk to John, but I just want to interject this, John, because I heard...
Oh, more fundamental Christians. What a surprise. What a surprise. But that's where the money is. That is where the money is. This is business. This is business. These decisions are commercial.
I want them to know what happened to you, but I interviewed a man named James Rothstein. His nickname is Jimmy Boots. He was an NYPD detective in the mid-60s until the 80s. And the chief of police made him vice undercover. And so he started undercovering the trafficking rings, the pedophile rings, the pimps. And he said he started getting to the highest levels, and then the feds would step in and say, national security, we got to shut it down. So he told me a number of stories, and that's why he said if we can get the mothers or the women involved, we can stop it. And so I started an organization called WomenFightingTrafficking.com. And so we're boots on the ground. We were just at the border, and there's a number of things that God is doing here. But we want to find out, John, what happened to you. So keep...
Yeah, and that sounds like you actually sort of doing something. Unfortunately, John isn't. John's raising his profile, wanting to be a public figure and what's he say, an influencer. He doesn't actually do anything apart from put his mug all over the place, tell the same made up bullshit story, and get donations. Doesn't actually physically do anything. Doesn't do anything. Hasn't saved anyone. Hasn't whistleblown on anyone. That's the big difference. Now, you can be a crazy fundamental Christian. That's your business, personal choice. But at least you're doing something, if it's true, what you're telling us, and I've no reason to believe it isn't. But you're being gullible with these two here. You're being very gullible with these two here. The history of John Wedger is bad, and he wants that American market.
Why don't you introduce him, because you were the one who told me. How do you guys know each other?
I came across John when I was going to MC in Trafalgar Square, and I was told about John, and then I'd gone and read about him, and then I felt almost ashamed that I'd been on the stage in Trafalgar Square and John had been in the audience and hadn't been given a voice.
Yeah, because he really complained about it, didn't he? And then Jeanette Archer really complained about it. Yeah, that's not really how it all happened, but I don't know for sure. But no, it's a lot more organised than that. It wasn't random. Oh no, I heard about John Wedger, and I'm like, oh no, I will happily give all the limelight away from myself and give it to John. Don't think so, lady.
That day, because I was talking about paedophilia and how it goes right to the very top, and they're chosen for these.
How do you know that? How do you actually know that? Because you was a nurse for 36 years, and it sounds like an airline stewardess at some stage as well. Cool, she must be quite old.
Positions in authority because of their deviance. And I felt very embarrassed that John wasn't in the voice, and I contacted John. And then John came and spoke at the next rally for us, and he's a very humble man as well. Just taking...
What? Oh no! Yeah, is that going to be the biggest lie?
meals out for the homeless as well at the weekend. He's one of those people that when you...
Yeah, he's so humble. He just tells everybody everything goes wrong with his begging bowl. Yeah, so humble.
When you spoke to him for 10 minutes, you go and reflect on your own life and think, I need to be better. I need to be more like John. I'd also been arrested by...
Oh no, you're pretty much on the same level. I wouldn't worry too much. I mean, no one's winning here.
The Metropolitan Police, and he'd been a Met officer. And it was the same people that were still in power now. And I knew about the Hampstead case. And also, working in A&E, I'd seen physical abuse, but also at the same time as I've been told about John. I had a woman contact me with some young boys that had come over here as asylum seekers, 13 and 14-year-olds, and what was actually happening to them. And one of them disappeared on the streets. I was trying to get them to my house so I could have them covertly. So that's when I got told about John and everything I did. And it's horrific what happened to him, merely for trying to do his job, be a man, be a father as well, and to
Oh God, let's skip. I can't be doing with the arse pain. Let's skip a bit.
It started involving people that were high up in the British establishment, and very quickly I was approached by a detective from the paedophile team, Scotland Yard. New Scotland Yard, he said, John, this isn't.
Actually, we just skip this a bit more. We've heard this same old bullshit story over and over and over. It's like, let's see, is he going to get into the Satanists in this? Let's have a look. Any Satanics going to turn up?
And then in the afternoon taken to very wealthy Arab restaurants in a very posh part of central London and sold for £2,000 a night. But what started happening was they started giving names. Giving names of there was a judge involved, there was a senior police officer involved, there was someone who worked for the BBC involved at a high level. And so I put a report together because it was getting out of hand. There was only 2 of us working on it and it was massive. And I thought I was then
This would be the whistleblower, who won't name these people. Maybe they're not dead yet.
to see a senior officer. And I've got to say that I've made allegations against a senior officer, both criminally and in a civil case, and it has been heard in a civil case. I want to add, today a report came out, a government report, an independent inquiry into child sexual abuse. It's taken 9 years. I formed part of the core participant, the evidence giving process, and 5 of my recommendations have now been penciled into statute now. So the government has to listen to what I've got to say. It's now a government recommendation, and in doing so, the government tried to remove my statement and all sorts of strange things happened. But back to where I was. This senior officer, who now holds one of the most senior positions in the United Kingdom, he said to me, I'm a single parent of 4 children, and all these children all came from dysfunctional families that were subject to care orders.
Right, okay, we've heard all this. Let's see what else he comes up with. Fortunately, this isn't too long, which is a benefit, because he makes me sick.
Per child. So the average was 5 children, so you can make out how much that they were making a month. It was big money. And I said to each town, I rang up each one of these 22 homes within a 10-minute period. Bear in mind, I was told no children are involved in prostitution in this London borough for the last 2 years. I rang up the first time.
Well, yeah, because that doesn't actually exist, does it, John? There's no such thing as that. Ugh, sicko.
I said, how many kids you got? I said, 5. How many of them do you lose at the weekend to prostitution? Straight away,
Oh,
I said,
we're still. Why is he rocking? Right, let's just skip him a bit more. I can't listen to the same bullshit story.
To take a little rabbit trail and we'll come back to what happened to you, John. There was Jimmy Savile, and you've got Prince, Charles, and all these allegations, which I believe are true with the royals. Well, maybe if I can try and explain to your
I think it's Prince Andrew, isn't it? It's not Prince Charles.
Audience how this has been allowed to perpetuate. Back in the 1970s, the Labour government in the United Kingdom, there was 3 peers. 3 women.
Oh God, he's going to start talking about the pie, isn't he? It's like he's just learning. Let's just skip him a bit more. It's just basically so you can get the gist of the grift and his new unholy alliance.
It has blackmail value, and these people favour these children. These are emotionally damaged individuals. These are children
Yeah, and you're really stable, fella. Oh shit, what have I done? No, I took him back to the beginning. Sorry guys, I was meant to pause and I've just, where were we? We were about there.
consent between a man and a girl should be 14 years old. One of these female MPs that allowed this group even to speak at their Christmas party and give a presentation became a government minister under Tony Blair for child welfare. We've had
while you were working for the police and taking salary. Remember that? Everyone knows this. Everyone knows it. What is it with these people? Well, I guess it is, isn't it? You can't grift off of people like me because we've seen it. We see it all them years ago. So new people, you're targeting a new audience, and so they'll fall for it. Part with their cash, their time, their energy, their emotions. Yeah, I guess that's what it is. New batch coming through. We can have the 30-somethings, the 20s and the 30-somethings.
5 consecutive members of parliament who had political advisors. A political advisor is their second in charge. It's a bit like a clerk of the court who tells them and steers them on parliamentary procedure. 5 of them have been paedophiles and convicted paedophiles.
Why is he rocking?
We had the head of our military intelligence service was a convicted paedophile. We can go on and on and on. We go on about Prince Charles. Prince Charles, of course, was linked in with Jimmy Savile, and I can connect this Jimmy Savile with the reason why I spoke out. But Prince Charles's best friend was a man called Bishop Peter Ball.
Oh, not this, not this. Stop it. Same rehash, but it's a different audience, so the grift.
Allegations in their reports, so it never ever come out, and so it's this vicious cycle that keeps occurring. Yeah, it's a cycle of abuse.
It's a vicious cycle that keeps occurring, but we'll just tell the same story over and over again that goes back years ago, yeah? Okay, then.
Well, I just want to briefly share a story, here in...
And that is not to say that, that these people shouldn't be held accountable and that something should be done. I'm not saying that at all. But this is using a terrible set of circumstances for their own gain. Not to help anyone. This idiot hasn't helped anyone. He's been grifting for years. Hasn't helped anyone. Helped himself.
1982, a 12-year-old paperboy named Johnny Gosh was abducted.
Yeah, that is an awful case, Johnny Gosh. Ugh. I don't know if you guys know that story. You probably do.
His mother, who I've interviewed, Noreen Gosh, 12 years, she was on John Wassel's show, America's Most Wanted. There was clues that he was alive, but they didn't find him. And finally, she was on the Lisa Gibbons show, shared her story. She told Johnny, Johnny, your father and I are no longer married. We're no longer living in the home that we lived in when you were abducted. My address is in the Des Moines phone book. Please come home. And she shared this story with me, Kate and John, in the middle of the night, 3 months later, knock at the door. She looks through the peephole and she hears a voice saying, Mom, it's me, Johnny. She opens the door and he's with another, young boy his age. Now he's in his 20s. And he comes and sits in her bed and says, Mom, I was abducted by an elite pedophile ring that goes up to the highest levels of government, entertainment, and business. And he said, and I have to stay underground because they'll kill me. They'll kill you. These people are very high level. You look at what's going on with, the Epstein Island, all these high level,
It is a very, very awful case, that. He was literally not far from his home. He was just delivering papers. It's very odd story and awful, horrific.
Celebrities, you had, Bill Clinton was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane, the Lolita Express, 26 times, and you call it, it's, Jimmy Boots, who was the NYPD detective I talked about at the beginning. He said it's human compromise. That's what they blackmail you. Always. Yeah, they blackmail. I mean, what they did with me was that instead of investigating the allegations of corruption, they came for me. And I spoke out because Jimmy Savile had died, and it came out that he was this prolific paedophile, and that many other police officers started saying that I've been threatened too. And I got in touch with them, and they said, look, if you speak out, be prepared that they're going to destroy it. There was 9 attempts to imprison me. They tried to take one of my children into care. I didn't get paid for nearly 3 years. I nearly lost my home.
That's not true. That's not true. That story of not being paid has been changed over and over, and there were plenty of police whistleblowers that wanted to get in touch with him when he first got on the scene, and he told them all to F off because he wanted it all for himself. Such a liar.
And I was threatened with the loss of my home, my children, my job, and it nearly all happened. So when you speak out, there's only one thing that happens. Like a survivor, you speak alone. You look round and no one's behind you. I did get a message of an NYPD detective, a man called Frank Serpico. They made a film about him. Al Pacino made a film about called Serpico, and he got in touch with me and said, "You're a brave man. Come and meet me." And I went and met him and shared a stage with him in the Netherlands. His stuff was nothing to do with mine, but what I found is that it's the same wherever you go. I started then getting survivors of this thing called satanic ritual abuse coming forward, and this is where it started to.
Here we go. The American grift in the Bible Belt.
Tying in with child pornography and real high up.
No such thing as that. Filthy, disgusting, illegal images of children. Is that what you mean, John? Think it is.
Trafficking and paedophilia, and then when you deal with the survivors of satanic abuse, they've got a thing called DID, and this is broken mind, split personality, like it's film Split, and they're so damaged. Dissociative identity disorder. They actually split into different personalities so they can survive. Yeah, I was speaking to a guy called Nathan Reynolds from the US.
Yeah, along with false memory. It's funny how one is possible and the other one isn't in John's world, but anyway.
Yesterday, and he's a survivor. I've been speaking with John Ramirez, who was a former practitioner of Santeria. And, since I've been doing my independent work, giving a voice to those who've been hurt, there was an attempt to poison me last year. I've had tracking devices put on my car, I've had threats, I've had all sorts of things go on.
Go on, chicken foot. Tell us about the chicken foot.
But you find that the satanic ritual abuse...
Ah, he knows his market. He knows his market. Yeah, witchcraft and voodoo. That's probably a bit too much here. Maybe we'll leave the chicken foot out of it.
Voodoo, Santeria, Opia, it's all the same thing. It's all the worship of demons, and the demons want blood, and sexual abuse of children is paramount in it, and they are videoed, and then this is then sold on, but people are also compromised. But, you know, it doesn't matter who they blame, those who do it, right? Whether they say they're under duress or that Satan made them do whatever, they had a choice, and they chose to do this. But with these elite families and these intergenerational satanic families, it is their duty to offer their children up to the group so they can use these children. And they make huge amounts of money. It's all about money, whether it is a blood ritual or not. It's
Yes, John, isn't it? It's all about money. And it's all about money for you as well, isn't it?
privilege, power and position. And it's all about the money. And kids are, of course, they're trafficked. You're losing your borders. We lost our borders many, many years ago in Europe. They've been open for such a long time, you know, and the flow of kids, and we've had wars in Europe. And these kids are brought in, and again, the NGOs, there was, one of the things I did remember being in the police was Portugal seemed to be a country where a lot of
Oh, this is new. This is new.
paedophiles from the UK would gravitate to. And there's always a reason. And what we found out, there was a lot of NGOs based in Portugal, and Portugal had a unique system it operated when dealing with children in poverty from their colonial
Someone's told him this story recently, otherwise we'd have heard about this before.
countries such as Brazil and Angola. It would allow the children respite care to go to their charitable sponsor to stay with them. So these paedophiles from the United Kingdom would go out to Portugal, they would register with these NGOs, sponsor a child in Brazil or Angola, and they would then get the right to bring these children over. And of course, that's why they did it. You know, and it's disgusting, it's perverse, but it goes on and on and on. Children are the main commodity, and that's why they do it.
And money, isn't it? For you, though, the main commodity is trauma dumping on people, lying, and your fake foundation that doesn't help anyone. Yes?
Well, you know, we are going to be praying for you, John, and I'm going to bring you and connect you with some people in the United States, including Jim Hopkins and other people, because, you know, even as the old saying is, all that's necessary for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. Amen.
So she's going to go and network him up around the USA. He's living his dream. He's been after this for years.
Now all have to rise up with a voice. And, you know, right now, Kate and I, you know, we put our lives on the line. But you know what? It doesn't matter to me, because whatever happens to us, you know, we only are given so many, you know, days on this earth. And, you know, if we die, we go to heaven, we can be with Jesus. But we have many angels around us protecting us. You know, Kate, closing statements, we like to keep this under an hour. We'll have you guys on more regularly. But Kate, to the people watching right now, because we're going to share this video all over, because many people just don't really understand really how this whole system works with these elites that go up into the highest levels of government, entertainment, and business. I'm in Hollywood area, and there's so many people in Hollywood that have literally sold their souls, so to speak, to get to these high levels, you know, of actors or musicians or entertainers. And people just think, well, why did they get to that level? Well, many of them, you know, sold themselves. They sold themselves to Satan, to the satanic realm, the Illuminati. There is a real Illuminati where they do the whole eye thing, and, you know, they put their hand in their jacket, or, you know, they do the pyramid. And it's a sign they have to tell people what they're doing. So, Kate, what would you say in closing, you know, just a closing statement to people that are watching today? It's very, very simple, really. You can't fix something that is so broken and corrupt. But we are the women that are having the children, and the nuclear family is being destroyed. So what we have to do is we have to go back to living the way we should in our communities, where it takes a village to raise a child.
What? So she's another one that wants to go back and right? Okay, so dad goes to work, mum stays at home. No one gets divorced, even if you're miserable or being beaten to a pulp. Like, brilliant.
Everybody should be looking out for one another. We should be married in loving, stable relationships.
Yes.
And if we're not, and we have a child, then it's out for our families to protect us. You know, if it were my daughters, then they would have me. Those children would be around me, with me, at all times. I never left my children with babysitters, apart from on 2 occasions. You know, we have to take responsibility.
So how did she go to work how was she? I mean, she's not 100 years old. She was an airline stewardess. Then she was a nurse for 36 years. Did she just not really work then? She just kept renewing her nursing certificate and doing a few hours here and there. If she never left her kids with a baby, or maybe her mum or someone looked after them, I don't know.
Responsibility for the children that we bring into this world, and also all the unborn children that are being slaughtered, which is all satanic as well. So I think, you know, one of the things that I noticed, and I'm sure John will agree with this, is people turning away. They don't believe it's any of their business. They don't believe it's anything to do with them. So they do nothing about it. Every child on this earth is every single one of our responsibilities and our business, totally. And we have to step up to the plate, really. I've got
Can I just add something? Okay, again, 100% correct, and this just came out today in the findings of a 9-year-long government inquiry, and it's something I put forward in my evidence. Child prostitution, sexual exploitation, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, you don't call it that. You don't call it that, John. But you go, it's just semantics. I'll say what I like because I know it really upsets people. And I shouldn't have said it the very first time, but I'm always right, so I'm going to keep saying it. Yeah? Is that it?
Same thing. And it's as simple as this. If you don't look for it, you ain't going to see it. You don't want to talk about it, no one hears about it. You know? You can do this, and this all you want, and it isn't there. You're not going to come across it. But you lift up that little stone, and you'll see the underbelly, and you will see it, and it is there. But you can walk away and shut your front door, and it doesn't exist. But don't ever go to bed knowing that it's not real, because it is real. And until we do something about it, it will continue 100% bang on, Kate.
So you're telling us that Jeanette Archer and all her crap was real? Oh yeah, really? What? We know that horrible people do horrible things on every walk of life. Well, it's not class, is it? It doesn't matter what class you're in. Sickos are sickos, and they infect everywhere. But it's not all satanic, is it, John?
Now, John, just in closing, what are you doing today? Like, how can people reach you if they want to?
If he says the John Wedger Foundation.
My website is under John Wedger Foundation. I don't run it as a foundation anymore, but my email address is
You don't run it as a foundation anymore. You didn't run it as a foundation ever. What are you going on about?
John Wedger Foundation, I think, .com. Anyway, and no, John Wedger Foundation at gmail.com. So John Wedger Foundation gmail.com. You can get in touch with me.
Not even a difficult email address is his damn name at gmail.com. Oh, God. Yeah, all right, Inspector Gadget.
What we've done is we formulated a group of mainly ex-military, mainly Christian people, and what we do, we've been looking at very, very severe cases that the police have basically abandoned, and we try and reinvestigate them.
Look at him rocking backwards and forwards. It's like bloody One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
We've got a very senior ex-police officer working with us. We've got a profiler working with us. We've got a good collection of people. We've got access to cadaver dogs, forensic capabilities, and we've just had quite an amazing success rate in trying to locate a shallow grave of a missing child. And also, we will look into cases of satanic ritual abuse and try and locate venues. But everything we do, we work within the parameters of the law, and the police are informed. And that is important that we inform the police, because we've just had someone that went rogue and went out and did it outside of the parameters of the police and is now serving just short of a life sentence for kidnap. Because if you do something wrong, the system is going to crush you, and they're going to crush you hard. So I say to him, be a bit like Oscar Schindler in Schindler's List. Work within the system. I don't agree with the system.
Oh my God, is that what he's now trying to equate himself to that?
I think it's wrong. I think it is broken. But for today, it's all we've got, and we've got to work with the tools we've got. But we can shape the police.
Tool. Yes, but not quite in the context that you're using it.
Police will only change when you shame them into their misgivings and their failings, which we are actually seeing happen in the UK. But if people want to get in touch, I can't promise I can do anything to help, but it might be that we can. So just look me up, John Wedger Foundation. The details are on there. Okay, so yeah, John Wedger, just the way it's spelled, JONWEDGER, foundation.com, or his email is johnwedgerfoundation@gmail.com. So thank you, Kate, for coming on, and John, and thanks for watching Now Is the Time. We all need to now speak up, against this incredible, horrific,
grift. Speak up against this terrible, horrific grift. Now, I'm quite sure the lady interviewing has got all good intentions. She doesn't know she's being conned. She doesn't live here. Oh dear.
Problem with child sex trafficking and pedophilia, as well as satanic ritual abuse. A lot of people, like as we talked about, they don't want to believe that there's people this evil. But you have to understand it's because of Satan and the demonic realm. If they can't get to God, they'll try to use his children to try to compromise them, to blackmail them, to do whatever it takes to get them. And I'm working on a movie, I have been for over 12 years, about a young man who now has passed on in 1993. But at the time, John and Kate, Lonnie Frisbee was 8 years old in 1957 when his 17-year-old babysitter molested him. He didn't just molest him, he raped him in the shower. He tried to tell his mother and stepfather. They didn't believe him. So they continued to let this boy babysit him, and they took his voice away. But in 1967, when he was 17, he was on a mountain outside of Palm Springs, and it was the whole Timothy Leary hippie turn on, tune in, and drop out. He dropped LSD, and at this particular time, he cried out to God and he said, God, if you're real, reveal yourself to me. And he had a vision of the Pacific Ocean being filled with people in darkness. And Jesus told Lonnie, I'm putting a light on you to reach lost people. God used Lonnie Frisbee, connected him with a conservative pastor in Southern California named Chuck Smith, and the Jesus movement exploded onto the scene. God took.
And to be fair, if you've been through a huge trauma and you think you have an epiphany, or you do have an epiphany, it's never happened to me, and you get your life is enriched and improved by religion, whatever that religion might be, that's a good thing. I've no problem with that. No problem with that. Heal whatever way you can if you've been so horrifically damaged in that way. This woman is probably very, very genuine. And isn't it just so incredibly sad that these two are exploiting that goodwill? Beautiful.
Because he got into bisexuality. I mean, he'd been raped. And so, as you said, John, many of these kids then start,
Oh no, oh no. I think I know where she's going to go here. I'm going to skip her a bit. Oh no, 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 no.
And the police have shut it down, turned away from it. And this is going on, and a man called Tommy Robinson
Oh God.
has made this documentary. What I'll do, Mary, is I will connect the two of you. Because this is a
Wow. I mean, we know John's been pushing Tommy Robinson and trying to get in his good graces for a few years now. This is ridiculous. These people are sick.
a documentary called The Rape of Britain, and I think it would be only pertinent to bring that in now as well, because this is happening. There are grooming gangs, and this has been ignored.
Nah, I've had enough. I've really had enough of these jokers. Get rid of them. I don't even know where I found this video. Might be on his John Wedger page. Might have been somewhere else. Don't know. Anyway, that's that. Not a lot to laugh about with that. It's not like Wayne Fox and those where you can sort of like have a laugh and a joke about it. Let's just keep tabs on this. It's a full-on griftathon. It is a griftathon, and they're coming for you, America. The redcoats are coming, but they went with their red wallets. They want your money. Right, that's that. Anyway, yeah, I think we'll have to have. I think I'm tired. Yeah, I haven't quite got my mojo for this one. That just really, really irritated me. Anyway, thank you very much for being here. Let's keep an eye on this and see where else it takes him around the USA. Oh dear. Right. Anyway, look after your lovely selves. Hope we're all keeping well, wrapped up warm. And yeah, I hope you're all good. I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me, I do not have the plague. I don't know why. I've been a bit sneezy the last couple of days. Plague. Right, anyway, let's close this off. Look after yourselves, and I'll catch you again soon. All right, take care. Night night. I don't know when I'm going to put this out, but for me, it's very late, so it's night night. Anyway, take care. Catch you soon. Bye. Bye.